Welcome back to Colster's Classroom. Thanks for stopping in. Time management. Every teacher struggles with it. Doesn't matter whether you're a veteran or a new teacher. There just simply isn't enough time in the week or enough time in the day for us to do everything we need to do. Last year, I taught 167 students. I ran a recruiting agency. It's a business I run full-time in addition to my teaching. I'm trying to launch this YouTube channel. I've also coached basketball, coached powder puff, work out at least 4 times a week. But most importantly, I make sure that I treat my wife like a CEO and she gets her quality time on the weekends. How am I able to make all of this work? I'm going to share that with you in this video and share some tips that will help you free up more time so you can spend it with your loved ones. It should come as no surprise that successful people often measure things differently. And one example of that is the way they measure time and the way they use time. Most of us think of a day in terms of hours. Many successful people actually break it down into minutes. And over the course of the day, there's a lot of minutes that we don't use as productively as we could. Let's say you get done with lunch 10 or 15 minutes early. In 10 or 15 minutes, if you're productive, you can grade a lot of papers. You can work on lesson plans. There's several things you can do that are more productive than just waiting for the bell to ring. And over the course of a day, those minutes turn into hours. By the end of the week, those minutes could be several hours that you could use for family time or something productive. So I'm going to talk to you about different places where you can find those minutes and turn them into hours of productivity that you can spend that time with your family. There's an old saying in education, which is the more work the students do, the less work the teacher does. That's somewhat true. Basically, when the students are on task, it's an opportunity for you to use your time wisely and get some other stuff done. So obviously you want to monitor them and make sure they're working. Typically what I'll do is walk through the class, take 5 minutes, grade a few papers, walk through the class, take 5 minutes, grade some papers, walk through the class. And of course, if students have questions, I'll answer them if they come up to my desk. But I'm able to get 7, 8, 10, 12 papers graded. So those are papers I'm not going to have to take home with me, and I've got a head start on what I need to get done. Same thing with lesson plans. So when you have those moments where you're at your desk and you have a little bit of time to get some work done, use your time productively. Oh, the planning period, the biggest time trap in the world. Let's talk about that for a second. All right, new teachers are usually really good about their plan periods. They use that time to learn technology, learn teaching techniques, and ask a lot of questions of veteran teachers. And that's a great use of your time, both the veteran teacher and the new teacher. As we progress and become proficient after a couple of years, the plan period a lot of times turns from something that is important and efficient to time where a lot of people use it to decompress or just kind of chill out. My thoughts on that are that yes, everybody needs a little bit of downtime. Absolutely. Take 10 or 15 minutes to go check your mailbox, but don't let that turn into a full 45 minutes of checking your mailbox and socializing with everybody. So again, if you use your time, your plan period efficiently, let's say you have a 45-minute plan period, give yourself 15 minutes to decompress, but take the other half an hour. And if you multiply that by 5, that's 2.5 hours that you could be grading papers and doing lesson plans over the course of the week. And that's all time that you could spend with your family at home and be more efficient with your time at school. A couple of the things I'm going to talk about in this presentation are actually controversial, and this might be one of them. This could cause a little bit of controversy. You don't have to grade every assignment. I repeat that. You don't have to grade every assignment. If you assign 6 assignments on Monday that are due Friday, you can have the students pull out all 6 papers and randomly select one that you're going to grade. And you can ask them to pass it up, or you can walk through the class and grade it as you look at the papers. You can even take it to this level, and this was a suggestion from a college professor that I had in university. And she said, cast a 6-sided die and randomly select one of the assignments. I thought it was brilliant. The students don't know which assignment you're going to actually collect, And so they have to do all 6, and it cuts down on your workload. And it still gives them an accurate representation of their grade. The other thing to think about is this. Are you giving them busy work, or are you actually giving them important practice? So that's what homework is supposed to be, is practice, and classwork as well. So can you cut down on your workload? If you're giving them busy work, you're not just making them busy. If you're grading it, you're making yourself busy. So ask yourself, can I cut down on my workload a little bit by cutting down on the students' workload a little bit? Again, they will appreciate it because that allows them more time to focus on other classes. So don't inundate them with homework unless it's important homework and has some educational value to it. If you're just giving them stuff to be busy in class and you're grading it, you're killing both of your time. Just keep that in mind. Again, if it's important, make sure you assign it, even if it's a lot. But if it's stuff that just keep people busy, I would encourage you to try to decrease that because it'll take some pressure off of you as well. Planning is incredibly important. This is where you're going to save all of those minutes that we're talking about. What I typically do is on Friday, when the students are working, I will lay out my lesson plans for the following week. That way I've got them done while I'm in school. But if you don't do that, I would suggest taking half an hour on a Sunday evening and laying out your game plan for the week. What are you going to assign? How are you going to grade it? Make sure you have a game plan in place, because if you go in with a good game plan, you'll end up saving a lot of those minutes we're trying to save. All right, here are some more time traps to be aware of. Video games, television shows, and social media exchanges. That third one, we're all guilty of it. I know I'm guilty of throwing away scores of hours, debating with people I barely know, whose opinions are never going to change. So why do it? I've actually, the last few months, moved away from debating people on social media because you're not going to change their opinion. It is a big time waster. And as school gets ready to start up, I am probably going to cut down on my social media a lot. Um, Typically, my typical day starts at 7. I start teaching at 7. From 7 to 2:30, I'm in the classroom. 2:30 to 3 is a drive home. 3 until 7 is medical pharmaceutical sales recruiting. 7 to 7:30 is dinner. And then 7:30 to 9 is either working out or watching a couple of television shows with my wife. That's what my typical day looks like. It's very scheduled. I tell people all the time, if you're a teacher, you even schedule your bathroom breaks. I can tell you my bathroom break is between 2:30 to 3 every day. So again, avoid these time wasters and come up with a routine that you follow over the course of the day. Here's a pro tip for you. I've been talking about ways to avoid time wasters. This is a chance to actually find some hidden time that a lot of people aren't aware of. For instance, if you travel, my wife and I always do several trips in the fall where we'll drive on Friday afternoon up to Tennessee to watch a football game or other places. And when we do that, she will drive and I will sit in the passenger seat and either get lesson plans done, papers graded, or some recruiting done. So it's an opportunity to find some hidden time I didn't have. Now, I know there's some people who can't do that in a car, they get headaches and stuff, but if it doesn't impact you, use that hidden time. You can trade off. A lot of times after a couple hours, my computer will die, and I'll trade off and take over the driving duties, and we'll split them up. But those are hidden minutes that I can take off my plate on a long drive. So think about that. That's a place where you can find, a lot of us do college football visits over the course of the fall. Here's an opportunity for you to use that time wisely as you're driving to whatever stadium you're going to or whatever other activities you're involved with in the fall. All right, here's a really controversial one. I actually use it as a teaching method, but it's also a time saver, which is to allow students to trade papers. I don't allow students to actually just grade each other's work, but I do have them trade papers because there is educational value in students grading each other's paper and learning how a rubric works and trying to understand what a rubric is, based on the fact that a lot of standardized tests that they take have rubrics. They need to understand what they are and kind of try to predict what's on them. So if you do trade papers, you need a really solid rubric, and then you need to go over it with the students and make sure that they understand what the rubric is, and then have them turn the graded papers in, which saves you time because now you don't have to grade them in great detail. You can glance over them and take it from there. That will save you time. One of the things I do is I allow students to opt out of that if they don't want to be a part of that. I'll tell them, look, if you're not comfortable trading papers, you can sit this one out and I will grade it personally for you. But those students who trade papers will get their grade back instantaneously today. I won't have yours back to you until the end of the week when I have time to grade it. So they can make their choice on that, and they typically, because they want their grade back faster, will actually trade papers. But again, it allows them to opt out if they want to. Um, I'm not a lawyer, but I was just reading up before this video that the Supreme Court, I do believe, ruled that this is completely legal and actually a good educational practice. All right, so the other thing you can do is have students grade their own papers. Sometimes what I'll do is have students grade their own paper and just share the rubric with them and have them take a test actually on the rubric to make sure they understand how the rubric works. But this is another place where it's good educational practice. My favorite part of it is this. Students don't know how bad their handwriting is. When they trade papers, they have to read each other's handwriting, and then they begin to understand that their sloppy handwriting just won't cut it. Another thing you can do if you want to trade papers, and I do this with their second 9 weeks exam, where I have them trade papers, is rather than put their name on it, I'll have them put their student number on there and have them trade their papers, and then I'll have the person grading it write their student number on the back, graded by, and that keeps it anonymous so nobody knows who's graded what. So again, another way, if you're worried about their privacy, you have some workarounds there that are very fair. So take that into consideration. It's a great way, a great educational practice. Again, the best part of it is watching them try to read each other's handwriting. I love that part. Leave schoolwork at school. Again, leave schoolwork at school. Use some of the strategies I mentioned in this video and take advantage of them because the people who are waiting for you at home and love you deserve your time just as much as those students do. It's important that you're present for them. You can budget some time to spend with them and budget some time for schoolwork if you need to, but make sure that when you are present with your family that you are actually mentally present and giving them your full attention and not sitting there working on papers because that's not quality time. And here's a pro tip for you. I have a very talented math teacher I work with who actually, when she goes to Disney, she takes papers with her to Disney and grades them in line. I mean, you talk about time wasters. Lines are the ultimate in time wasters. You just sit there and either sit on your social media or I don't I sit there and think about random things like catching lizards. So that's a great use of your time. Is if you go into a theme park or something, take a little folder with some papers in it and get them graded in line. So again, the important message here is be present with your family and your loved ones. They deserve your time just as much as those students. It's important that you spend time with them, give them quality time, otherwise you'll burn out. Anyone who knows me knows I came over from the private sector. I spent 7 years in the private sector. And when I was in the private sector, one of my jobs was real estate. And I remember the guy who was in charge of the seminar we went to said, always treat your spouse like a CEO. Pencil them in as an appointment into your scheduler. Again, I repeat that. If you're married, have a significant other, pencil them in into your appointment book and stick to that time, just like they're the most important customer you've ever had, most important student, most important everything, because they are. And so pencil them into your book and stick to it. Don't break those appointments. Another pro tip for you here that's going to save you months over the course of your career of time is use Excel spreadsheets for your lesson plans. If you've watched my videos on lesson plans, I talk about using Excel spreadsheets because Once you put your lessons into them, your goals are there, your objectives are there, your pages in the book are there. Um, Everything is already there. All you have to do is tweak a few things, cut and paste, and your lesson plans are done in a matter of an hour or two, if not even that. I mean, sometimes you can knock out your lesson plans in 15 minutes if you're not making many changes. So those are two pro tips for you. Hopefully you've learned some things from this video. Hopefully this has not been a waste of your time. That's right, I'm here all week. Um, if you've enjoyed it and learned anything, please hit the like button. Please think about subscribing. And if you're a teacher, thank you for your time. I'm proud to call you my colleague. Colster out.